Another A24 masterpiece or a pretentious, preachy mess? Let's find out. Hi everybody, Anthony here from Awesome Anthony Productions, and today I'm going to give you my review of the latest horror release from A24, Heretic. But before we get started, you know exactly what to do. At the end of the video, if you think I've earned it, please leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss any of my new reviews. Now let's get into it. Now, like every other A24 horror movie, Heretic's got the hype, the promise, and a reputation for shaking things up. But does it deliver, or is this one just trying too hard? The movie centers on two young Mormon women going door to door. We have Sister Paxton, played by Chloe East, and Sister Barnes, played by Sophie Thatcher. Their day takes a dark turn, however, when they knock on the door of Mr. Reed, played by Hugh Grant, with the night that follows forcing them to confront their faith in ways that they never could have imagined. So let's start by talking about the performances, because honestly, this movie really hinges on them. Starting with Hugh Grant as Mr. Reed. He's the absolute standout here, and between this, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, and Paddington 2, I am 100% here for his villain era. Mr. Reed starts off as this unassuming, polite man who just wants to engage these two girls in a theological discussion.
I think it is good to be religious, to find your faith in a doctrine you actually believe.
Well, our work here is done.
But as the night progresses, his layers start to slowly peel back, with him morphing into something that's much more sinister and borderline unhinged. The first half consists of a sequence of philosophical, uncomfortably intimate conversations where he's tearing apart religion piece by piece. His performance has that kind of magnetism where, even when he's starting to go off the rails, he's weirdly charming, like an Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter vibe. Chilling, but also impossible to look away from. And the dialogue they give him is relentless. He has a whole planet's worth of lines here to work through, but he pulls it off with very natural charisma and a surprising amount of humor, while also adding a sense of sophistication that makes his character unnervingly engaging. Now, for this film to really work, the two leads, Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East, had to match that energy, and I think they did. Chloe East, as Sister Paxton, brings an earnestness to this role that makes her arc genuinely compelling. She's the good girl from the big religious family, one who always tries to keep preaching and keep it polite and respectful, even as things start to feel seriously off. But while she's playing it nice, she seems a little oblivious at first to what's going on, but after a while you realize that she's calculating, searching for a way out, or just trying to talk some sense into Mr. Reed to let them go. And by the end, you are totally invested in her struggle and you're rooting for her to make it out of this. Sophie Thatcher's Sister Barnes, on the other hand, is definitely more complex from the very beginning. You can tell right away just from her performance and the way that she carries herself that her faith isn't as deeply rooted as Sister Paxton, which adds a lot of nuance to her arc here. There's definitely doubt in her, and Thatcher plays into that with her performance. Her character also feels very street smart and has a confidence that adds a lot of depth to the theological debates with Mr. Reed. She's ready to challenge him and never backs down, which makes the character very fascinating. It's rare to see horror protagonists that aren't just written this strongly, but written this subtly. And both actresses completely bring it here, fully avoiding the trope of being another hopeless, clueless victim.
You've been through this. You're crazy.
I mentioned the intense theological debates here, and that takes up a really big part of the movie. It's pretty much all of the first half. And though that might sound boring, it's actually very tense, and it makes you think while building the tension in a very slow, unsettling way. And when we reach that scene in the trailer when Mr. Reed asks the sisters to pick one of two doors,
I won't keep you if you wish to leave. But I want you to choose which door to go through based on your faith.
it is 100% a heart-pounding moment. You can feel the weight of that choice, the implication that whatever's behind one of those doors is going to change everything for these girls. And as the sisters venture down the stairs, ready to explore what's beneath, the tension just keeps building and building. And the big reveal of what's down there, honestly, it's incredible at first. Here's where things get tricky. You'd think with a setup like this, the movie would take off into something very unique and surprising, something that lives up to the promises that the first half makes. Instead, it veers off into a completely different direction, one that completely avoids paying off that build-up in a satisfying way. Rather than going fully into the bizarre or embracing the unconventional like A24 movies have been known to do, the film tries a little too hard to push social commentary about religion and men, subverting expectations and diverting the movie into territory that just feels all too familiar. The result? It becomes almost predictable, robbing the film of the tension and fear that it had carefully and cleverly built up throughout the first half. And it's a shame, because up until that point, I was very invested, expecting a mind-bending finale that would match that tension and energy of the first half. But as the second half unfolds, it's almost like the production value shifts. It goes from something produced by A24 to something produced by Blumhouse. What could have been a unique, thrilling horror experience just kind of falls flat for me and feels like it could have been part of any other horror movie about a charming psychopath that we've seen a dozen times over. And that's very disappointing because this had the potential to deliver something truly memorable. Now, I get why some people are loving this movie and calling it the best horror movie of 2024. If you're someone that enjoys a religious horror film that challenges the concept of religion and tears it down in thought-provoking ways, this might be exactly what you're looking for. But for me, it fully misses the mark on that A24 magic that embodies their horror films embracing the weird and unconventional. Instead, it played it safe with the climax, the story, and the social commentary, which really undercut the masterful tension the first half built up and undercut my overall enjoyment of this film. So, is this worth a watch? Absolutely, if only for the powerhouse performances from Grant, Thatcher, and East. They carry this film, bringing a depth and intensity to their roles that makes it worth seeing in my opinion. Just measure your expectations and don't go in expecting a huge payoff or something that's going to push boundaries or change horror like other A24 films have done. And that's my review of Heretic. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this review, you know exactly what to do. I said it earlier. Please leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss any of my new reviews. While you're at it, you can scroll down in the description below, find the links to my socials, leave a comment, let me know if you saw this movie and what you thought. It's very divisive from what I've seen, so I'm curious to see if you agree with me or if you loved it. And lastly, if you want more of my content, you can click or tap on these cards right here. It'll take you to my review of Oddity or just over to my channel where you can check out the rest of my reviews and my shorts. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you next week for my review of Red 1.